In the depths of night, when silence blankets the world, a chilling legend whispers through the streets of our town. They say that if you dare to look, a pair of glowing eyes appears in the window of an old, abandoned house on the outskirts. The locals call it the eyes in the window, and those brave or foolish enough to gaze upon them are forever changed. Some say they vanish without a trace, while others claim their souls are trapped within the house for eternity. Our story begins on a moonless night when a group of teenagers, fueled by curiosity and the thrill of danger, decided to test the legend's truth. Armed with flashlights and nervous laughter, they approached the dilapidated structure, its weathered boards and broken windows a stark warning against their foolhardy mission. As they crossed the overgrown lawn, the air grew thick with an unnatural chill. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying what sounded like faint, distant screams. But the group pressed on, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. The front door creaked open at the slightest touch, as if inviting them into its dark embrace. Inside, the floorboards groaned beneath their feet, each step echoing through the empty rooms. Dust swirled in the beams of their flashlights, and the musty smell of decay filled their nostrils. "Maybe this wasn't such a good idea," whispered Sarah, the youngest of the group, her voice trembling. "Don't be such a baby," Jake teased, though his own hands shook as he swept his light across the shadowy corners. They moved deeper into the house, the darkness seeming to press in around them. Every shadow appeared to breathe, to move of its own accord. The walls themselves seemed to watch their every move. Suddenly, a cold draft swept through the hallway, extinguishing their flashlights. In the pitch blackness, a collective gasp rose from the group, and then they saw it, two glowing eyes, piercing through the darkness from the upstairs window. "It's real," Mike exclaimed, his voice a mix of terror and awe. Without thinking, they rushed up the creaking stairs, their fear momentarily forgotten in the excitement of discovery. But when they burst into the room, they found it empty. No eyes, no presence, nothing but peeling wallpaper and a large, cracked mirror reflecting their own pale, frightened faces. Relief washed over them, nervous laughter breaking the tension. "See? It's just an old story," Jake said, trying to sound brave. But as they turned to leave, Mike froze, his eyes fixed on the mirror. "Guys," he whispered, his voice barely audible, "look behind us in the reflection." They turned, slowly, dreading what they might see. And there, in the mirror, behind their reflections, were the eyes glowing, watching, filled with an ancient and terrible hunger. Panic erupted. They scrambled for the door, but it slammed shut before they could reach it. The lights in the house began to flicker wildly, casting grotesque shadows that danced and reached for them with grasping fingers. One by one, they vanished. Sarah was the first, there one moment and gone the next, her scream cut short as if she'd never existed. Then Jake, pulled into a dark corner by unseen hands. Mike disappeared in a flash of those terrible glowing eyes. Only Tom remained, running desperately through the twisting corridors of the house that seemed to have grown impossibly large. Doors appeared and disappeared. Staircases led to nowhere, and always, he could feel those eyes watching, following, waiting. Finally, he saw it, the front door, his escape. Tom ran towards it, hope surging through him. But as his hand touched the knob, he felt compelled to turn around one last time. There, at the window, stood his friends. Their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, their faces blank and expressionless. They stared at him, not moving, not blinking, as the realization dawned on Tom that he would never truly leave this place. The door swung shut with a final echoing boom. The house fell silent, the souls of the curious teenagers now part of its eternal collection. From that night on, the legend of the eyes in the window grew. Parents warned their children never to look into the windows of the old house on the hill, because once the eyes see you, they never let you go. The story spread through whispers and hushed conversations, growing with each retelling. Some claimed to have seen figures moving behind the curtains on stormy nights. Others swore they heard the laughter of children echoing from the empty rooms. But no one dared to investigate further. The house stood as a silent sentinel, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of our world. Years passed and the town grew around the abandoned house. New families moved in, unaware of the dark history that clung to the old building like a shroud, but the older residents never forgot. They crossed the street to avoid walking too close, and they hurried past with their eyes averted, especially after dark. One day, a new family moved into the house next door. They had a young daughter, Emily, who was fascinated by the old, creepy house. Despite her parents' warnings, she would often sit at her bedroom window, staring at the abandoned building, wondering about its secrets. On a particularly dark night, as Emily gazed out her window, she saw a faint glow coming from the house next door. Curious, she leaned closer, pressing her face against the cool glass. And there, in the upstairs window, she saw them two glowing eyes staring directly at her. Emily blinked, and the eyes were gone. But from that moment on, she felt different. Shadows seemed to follow her, and she often caught glimpses of glowing eyes and reflections in dark corners. Her parents noticed the change in her behavior, how she became withdrawn and jumpy, always looking over her shoulder. The town whispered that another soul had been marked by the eyes in the window. And as Emily grew older, she found herself drawn more and more to the abandoned house, as if it were calling to her, waiting for her to join the others trapped within its walls. The legend of the eyes in the window continues to this day, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unexplored. For in the darkest corners of our world, there are things that watch and wait, hungry for those who dare to look too closely. So, dear listener, the next time you find yourself walking past an abandoned house on a dark night, resist the urge to peer into its windows. For you never know what might be looking back at you, waiting to draw you into its eternal embrace. And remember, once the eyes see you, they never let you go. Would you dare to stare into the eyes behind that window? Are you brave enough to test the legend for yourself? Leave a comment saying, "I saw the eyes," if you think you could face the eyes in the window. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more chilling tales that will keep you up at night. Because in the world of the supernatural, the next terrifying story is always lurking just around the corner, waiting to be told.